I work as a night shift nurse in a remote hospital. Something is wrong with some of my patients. This is hard to explain. I will be frank and say that I am not of the soundest mind myself, as constant night shifts have taken a harsh toll on my mental health. Still, I know that what I am seeing is real and not a fabrication of my mind. A year before working here, I was employed at a private hospital in a large city. Some bad things happened to me, and I decided to leave my old life behind. This place needed a permanent night shift nurse. Since I get almost no sleep anyway, it became the perfect job for me. The money is good, but I really do not care about finances anymore. This hospital is the polar opposite of the tightly run and lavish one I used to work at. It is run down and looks half abandoned. It does not help that it is located in a densely wooded area with almost non-existent lighting. My mind is racing as I type this, and I am already on my third pack of cigarettes. I do not even know where to begin. I would love to share this with someone in person, but even if I had someone, they would think I was insane. The first day I arrived here, I was taken aback by the eerie brown and dark green interior design. The place looks like something out of World War I. The air smelled like phenol, alcohol, and staleness, which was very off-putting, but I got used to that part at least. The entire place was filled with narrow corridors that had poor lighting. If there were 10 bulbs on the ceiling, one was functional, while the rest were either burned out or flickered at best. I went into the doctor's office. He was an old, short man, probably in his late 80s. I was caught off guard that someone his age was still working, but he was. I always considered it impolite to ask why. He did not give me the usual interview or onboarding pep talk we are all used to. No, this felt sincere. He raised his head and looked at me for a moment. "You smoke." His voice was deep and soft. I did not expect the question and simply nodded. He opened the window in his office and offered me a cigarette. I hesitated, thinking it was some kind of test. He noticed and lit one for himself first, trying his best to blow the smoke outside. I relaxed and joined him. "We old ones do things a bit differently," he said. I immediately knew things here were more relaxed and far less up to code. Moaning and frightened gasps from patients could be faintly heard in the office, which made me uneasy. We talked about life and general topics for the most part, which honestly is not very interesting. The eeriest thing happened at the very end of our conversation. He took my hand and gazed into my eyes. Most would consider this inappropriate and creepy, but it felt like a fatherly warning. His voice sounded frightened. "Have you seen a patient die before?" he asked. "A few, yes," I responded. "This place has many unfortunate memories. For over a century, it has been a place of great suffering. Things here are not quite what you might expect at times." He paused, watching to see if I understood. When patients enter the final hours of their lives, try to give them their peace. He let go of my hand. I was puzzled, to say the least. My first few nights were normal. It was just me and 2 other nurses, and often only one doctor on the night shift. The hospital was huge, but because of its remoteness, it had very few patients. Then, on my 7th shift, things became strange. I was alone on the floor with 4 patients. One of them, an elderly man with a severe aneurysm, did not have much time left. He was barely responsive. That night, he looked me in the eyes and whimpered a repetitive no, no, no. I tried to comfort him when I noticed he was not looking at me. He was staring into the upper corner of the room. I turned around, but there was nothing there. The fear in his eyes was immense. I knew he was gazing at something only he could see. He spent the next 3 days staring fearfully into that corner, with occasional pleas for mercy and redemption. On his final night, he started, shaking and clenching his teeth, completely unresponsive to my attempts to reach him. The room felt odd, and he was the only patient there at the time. I cannot explain it, but it felt as if the room was darker than it should have been, especially around that corner. The old doctor came in, took one look at the man, and nodded, gesturing for us to leave. "He is going to," I began, but he interrupted me. "His time has passed. You know we cannot do much." I knew he was right, but I have always been an advocate for trying everything. Reluctantly, I walked outside. I swear that the moment we closed the door, he started gurgling and writhing in pain. After a few seconds, he went quiet. "Take a walk," the doctor said, tapping me on the shoulder. I went to the window and lit a cigarette, trying to make sense of what had just happened. This was not standard protocol by any measure. This cursed place makes me feel as if I am constantly being watched. The other staff seem to feel the same way, but everyone is reluctant to talk about it. That night, I was scared out of my mind. I looked out the window into the forest. Keep in mind, this is a remote place with very little light. I could swear I saw a man standing there, looking at me. I tried to ignore him, but I could not stop staring. It was so dark I could barely make him out. I do not know if my mind filled in the blanks or if I imagined what I saw. The man looked as though he was completely bandaged, yet the bandages were old and yellow, as if they had been there for years. I wanted to scream and slam the window shut before collapsing beneath it. Weeks passed, and I grew more anxious with each day. I lost a noticeable amount of weight due to the stress and was barely recognizable to myself. Things were normal until another patient who was clearly dying began staring into the same corner, either muttering nonsense or trembling with a level of fear I have never seen before. Every single one of them did it. One day, I found the old doctor dead in his office. He was the only one who died with a smile on his face. His chair was turned toward a corner of the room. There was a piece of paper on his desk addressed to me. It was obvious that it was written with unsteady hands, probably just before he died. "One shall gaze into the finality of this life as if greeting an old friend. Their virtuous deeds will carry them as if they are but a feather. The other will bear torment in their final moments, crushed by the burning weight of their wrongdoings." Last night as shift is something I will never forget. The hospital has a basement that has not been used in God knows how long. I rummaged through the office and found a key to the padlock. Being foolish, I took it and went down into the basement. I barely managed to open the lock, as it was so rusted that the key would hardly turn. Eventually, it did. The air smelled like death, and the halls were filled with old medical equipment and mattresses caked in dried blood. The lights did not work, but I brought a flashlight. My hands started to shake from the sheer fear of being down there. My gut told me to turn around and never come back. But human nature urged me to explore at least a little. Against my better judgment, I opened a nearby door. It was a padded psychiatric room. The entire room was covered in the words "Forgive me," along with various religious symbols, except for one corner, which held a drawing of something I cannot even describe. The scribbling looked as though it was moving, as if it were somehow alive. The etched and drawn shape in the corner looked as though it was shifting, as if something endless existed behind that small corner of the room. It resembled a dark mass of eyes that would close but never open again. The moment I saw that drawing, I stopped feeling alone. It is as if something is always breathing down my